dance floor and go, and go, and go crazy, and go crazy, and go crazy, and go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the old to LA. Go crazy like a dum-dum. Eastside homeboy, where I come from. Dance on the floor till you go numb. No fighting, no hating, no red rum. This is OOO City. All the way to the bay, hit the bass, feel me. Catch a case cause it's beating up your Chevy. Get you moving side to side, getting all sweaty. Make it work it, work it, work it out. Turn the volume up loud. It's a draw crowd, make it all shout. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. Hit play on the track and I'm ready. Like a quarterback, Tom Brady. Catch you all in the frenzy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. Go, go, go crazy. Go, go, go crazy. Go, go, go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. Go, go, go crazy. Go, go, go crazy. Go, go, go crazy. All the way from the O to
Keep the.
What's up, Scoop Nation? What's going on, fam? Hey, listen, we are live for another Scoop show. Y'all come on in. We've got a great show for you tonight. Give us just a second. Lake Charles, Louisiana is in the house. What's going on, Lake Charles, Louisiana? Hope you are doing well. Q is joining us in just a second. She had to log out and log back in, but I hope you all are having a great day today. We've got a great show for you tonight. As always, we are an interactive show, so we're saying go ahead and put your comments, starting by telling us where you are tuning in from. So we see we got Lake Charles in tonight. I see we got OKC in tonight. Chicago will be here. Chicago better be here tonight. So I am excited. We're excited for tonight's show. So y'all go ahead. If you have not, again, hit that share button, hit the share button and drop a link telling us where you are tuning in from. So hold on. I don't mean to do that to you. There you go. That was for the ad.
Hey.
That wasn't for you.
So. Got to put me on the big screen, Coach, on the big screen.
Right. So we got a good show, of course, lined up for you tonight. Like I said, hit that share button if you have not done so. We want your comments all night tonight because these hot topics are hot. And we got a good main topic for tonight. So we've been talking about expectations and relationships. We're talking about how we can make relationships better. And so we're going to keep in that same vein tonight. So we need your input. We want your input. And that is the purpose of what we're trying to do. We're trying to dive deep into conversation. So, there's a whole lot of foolishness out there about in the relationship space, but that's not what we about. We're trying to bring some depth to this conversation. What's up, May Tubby? How you doing, my brother? Good to have you tonight. See, I won't be by myself tonight. So I got at least one brother in here.
Will there be one? Will there be one?
One. Listen, all I need is one. So I got one, so I'm good. We can y'all be trying to get me, you and Shanae and y'all be getting me. So good to have you.
Hey,
of course.
I mean, we only respond to what's been provided. We only response.
Yeah. Sure. That's what we're gonna go with. That's fine.
Mhm.
That's what we gonna go with. So, how you doing today? Yeah, I know.
I'm in this thing, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's been a rough one for your girl, you know. So I'm gonna make the most of it, and we here tonight. Yeah.
I thought about listen. So when we were talking earlier, I'm like, we should really talk about this on the show because that's like what that is unfortunately it's quite normal, and I think it is the experience of more Black people than we really want to admit, and the frustration of our people. So I'm not going to go into it, but nevertheless, so I say that to say, be encouraged.
Yeah, we could talk about it when I disconnect from it. Yeah,
thank you. But not right now.
Thank you.
I got you. I just want that out. So anyway, nevertheless, good show. We're gonna have a good show tonight. So of course, like you said, we want you all to follow us. Too early. Yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. So yeah. So what else did I have? I think we still got a little bit of a delay going on too, but we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna work it out. So for those who don't know, of course, we want to make sure that you stay in tune with everything that we have going on. We are talking, so be in tune with what we're talking about tonight. So what's the topic for tonight? So the main topic for tonight is we're talking about relationship expectations in terms of, are we expecting too much, or are we expecting too much? Are our expectations beyond what they should be? So that's the main topic for tonight. Yep. All right. So as always, like I said, we want to make sure that you continually follow us. I don't know what just happened to my thingamajiggy. While we're doing that, while I'm finding that, let's go ahead and play this ad so we can get into these hot topics. Of course, y'all know hot topics are brought to you by Bob's, which is the Black-owned gas station and dispensary, not a big time, owned by our very own Kels and the crew. And so, so check this out. If you're in the OKC area, we want you to go and support them. So check them out.
Hey, what's up, friends? Let us introduce you to one of the fastest growing takeovers here in OKC. Bob's, better known as Black-owned Business Group, is bringing us a 1-2 punch of excellence and culture by serving us up options, sugars. You know we love options. Check this out. Have you ever been outside living your best life, out and about on these newly remodeled streets, and found yourself way too close to eat? Then Bob's Shamrock Gas Station is where you need to be. It doesn't matter if it's your tummy or your tank. They have what you need. Pull up and fill up on delicious barbecue, premium gas, and locally sourced goodies from Black-owned businesses right here in Oklahoma City. Stop by and say hi at 2901 Northwest 10th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73107, right across the street from the fairgrounds. Open Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And for our licensed friends, after you get your tank right, head on down south to Bob's Dispensary, Oklahoma's newest solution for your medicinal marijuana needs. Bob's Dispensary is open and ready to provide you with the highest quality medical marijuana available. Top shelf and premium eighth specials all day long. And we have Oklahoma City's own award-winning Banji topicals on deck and ready to cover your body's needs. Come get to know us at Bob's Dispensary, 2701 South Central Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73129. Open Monday through Saturday from 12 to 8 p.m. Closed on Sundays. Show your support and save whenever you pull up and fill up at either Bob's locations by bringing your receipt from either business in and save 20% off your next purchase. See you soon, sugars. You're still muted.
I knew that.
We're
Make
testing our lip reading skills tonight.
Yeah. Make sure you're following us on all social media platforms. Follow us on YouTube at The Scoop Show, at Facebook at Real Scoop Show, and on Instagram at The Scoop Radio Show. All right. Now that we got all this out the way, let's go ahead and get into these hot topics.
This is just so in alignment with this day. Like all you can do is laugh. Like,
all right, let's go. So here's the first one. I don't even. I'm gonna be. Yeah. So yeah. So oh hell no, not my son. So the let me make so you can see it. So the image behind this, of course, is a black father pulling his son away, his black son away from a white young lady. Yeah, is this? I wondered. I don't remember. I don't think there was much copy on it, but I wondered, is this really like a thing now? I wonder in our community where we're telling our black sons to stay away from white women. Is that? Yeah. What's the thought? That was.
I think if this is a thing in the home, it might be more adjacent to a conversation than an actual conversation that's being had. Meaning our kids pick up on the things that we say around them more than the things we might be directly saying to them. With the past few years that we've had, I could see where this could be a direct conversation with where it's like, and these are the examples why type of thing. You see. But overall, I think we as a community have this conversation from a different place. It's not as cut and dry as we just don't want our kids dating white kids. You know what I mean? Because you feel this way about your black daughters and your black sons when they start to date. You have to have, similar to the conversation you have with your sons about when they get pulled over, you have to have a conversation about what this experience very well could be. You have a whole list of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, be sure yous that you have to give to your child. So in an effort to protect them and to minimize the experiences that are in essence very adult, a lot of the times I think parents just err on the side of, nah, we're not gonna do that. That ain't what we do around here. And it might not be the best way, but with all of these inexplicable things that continue to happen in our community, I can understand. Understanding does not mean agreement all the time, but I can understand why this could be the stance that a family would make when it came to their black children. And I don't think this is just a not my son thing. Because honestly, like some people said on the post, this is honestly more of a mama. If you're talking about the son,
That's what I thought.
Mother snatches the baby back as opposed to a dad. So I was glad someone called that out. I initially didn't even catch that, but when it was called out, I was like, you know what, facts like that. When it comes to those boys, that's exactly how we look at it. I know I've said it on the show. It was a conversation that we had for the reasons I stated before.
Yeah, I remember having the conversation as well, and it was never. I mean, of course, my history is for a healthy part of my upbringing. We grew up in predominantly, from like fourth grade to freshman year in high school. We grew up in pretty much for most of that, we were the only black family in the neighborhood, and then for a while, I was the only black person. Myself and my sister were only black people in school. So yes. So I remember having this conversation with my mother Um, and yeah, and I remember my father going, "Look, this is all he's around." So,
Proximity is very important. Yeah.
yeah. So I remember that conversation. But as a father now with the son, I don't think I would. I mean, Trey's fairly young, so that's not really we don't have too many conversations about it at 9. But it's a very I would yeah. We haven't really had that conversation. I don't know if him and his mother have either, to be honest with you. So I can't say, but I could see, like you said, this being more of a conversation with the mother. The other part of it is I could actually see, like you said, number one, because of what's happening socially, that this is a conversation that is had more. I can also see, because it seems like in a way that I'm totally with, that as a community we are trying to figure out how to keep each other, specifically those of us who we would consider, like the ones that are doing something. So the smart people that are going to, make good money, the athletes who are going to make good money. I see a lot more conversation around having those people be with Black women. So I hear that a lot more than I used to hear it. And of course, I'm okay with it. Nothing. Again, marry who you want, marry who you love. But I have I've said it on this show several times. I love Black women, so
hey. And there needs to, specifically to that point, and I'm glad you mentioned that because you're very right. We are making as a community, and that is, I think, a direct attempt at better strategy at wealth building as a community. For a very long time, we have associated success and next levels with whiteness. And athleticism is often our in to whiteness. So to do that, you must attach yourself to a white woman. And that is what we need to begin to shift. So I definitely can say that there is some targeting that's happening in these locker rooms, in these like there, as there should be, because like you said, I'm all for love who you love, but not in an effort to access something that you already possess. You know what I mean? Like that ain't it. Surveys show that once you reach those next levels, you're going and get you a sister, and that's how you stay at those levels. So like, let's not fall for the okie doke when you're in your prime, because if you look at those folks that's really out here making moves in a very big way, it's us that they're taking with them. Like, but that's not how legacy gets continued, because that's his last name that's being carried on with that money.
Right. Yeah.
Not Mr. Johnson.
Yeah. Right. So like I said, I'm not. I didn't. As I thought through it, I'm like, this is. Listen. Again, I'm unapologetic about it. It doesn't have it's not a thing about not liking, having an issue with white women or white people, nothing like that. It's just a matter of I see an overabundance of very good single sisters who is like, who would make great partners for some of these brothers. So it's like, get you one, man. Like, you're not, what's the problem? And some of the stereotypes that that our culture has continued to perpetuate, I see those being attacked too. Like, she is not going to, like you said, she's not going to bring you down. She's not, like this whole thing of women, some of the foolish stereotypes like those. I think are debunking those and showing that, listen, there are wonderful Black women of all kinds, shades, types, personalities, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't have to access, you don't, and then there's this thing of you don't get any more. I think part of what like the Kaepernick thing did for us and stuff like that was realize like your access or you being a superior athlete does not give you any more privilege.
No, so, not in the ways that really matter.
Right, not in the ways that you might hope. And so table. So because you attach yourself to this does not mean that all of a sudden you get a seat at the table. What gets you a seat at the table is that you got to work for it like everybody else, and you got to navigate the system, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all kind of discussions that this ain't about, but yeah. So yeah. So it's definitely again. At first, I'm like, yeah, this is actually
if you dig into it, aside from the surface thing, there's some rationale to it, if that is the intention. Now, that's not to say that there are some folks who just flat out say, I don't want my brown kids dating white kids, period. You know what I mean? And it's because they white, and that's just how I feel. And you know what I mean? So I won't lump those people in, because those are the folks who will show up and say, oh, well, yeah, that's cute, but I don't believe that. I said it's just because of that. And I mean, I won't, that's not what I feel. So I won't, and I feel I wanted that to be respected, but I just wanted to acknowledge that there are people who flat out say that is the reason why,
your doctor, our good doctor, he clearly teaches that, and so okay.
He teaches a lot of things. The good doctor. Next topic.
Shanae says it comes from a place of fear and not hate. Something like that. We are exotic and stuff. Yeah. I had to have the conversation with my son about his first girlfriend. Yeah. I mean, hey, been there, done that. I get it. I ain't tripping.
Our first boyfriend was white. But I had a similar issue as proximity. I didn't go to school with majority black kids until the 8th grade.
Yep. Mine was too. So again, it wasn't. It was just that's all that was there. And like y'all heard me talk about it. Then her father told her she can't date me, so because I was black. So
yeah. And see, and his people loved me. So like I understood even early, like once these things started to be uncovered for me, like I even thought, okay, yeah, this is real different. Like this is very, very different, from the male to female side. So you have to look at it. It's not a black and white. It's not a black and white. There's so many twists and turns to this,
Okay, Vincent. Now what that mean? You got in the words of Q, I need words. Yeah. I need some words on that one. Because that's I don't know what that means. I mean, I think, it's a nevertheless. All right, we're gonna keep it moving. Which one requires the biggest commitment? Which one requires the biggest commitment? Getting married or having a child? Which one requires the biggest commitment? Getting married or having a child? Now, I think it's important that we define, because on the post, having a child was far and away the answer that most people chose. And I think you and I were talking about it. It was what I think I brought up. I said, I wonder if they interpreted getting married as in the ceremony or if they meant the marriage in totality as opposed to having a child. Because if they meant the ceremony, I would absolutely agree that having a child requires more commitment. But if we're talking about the marriage as a whole, as opposed to having a child, I would say the marriage as a whole. What do you think?
Once you have the child, for the most part, you can't opt out of it. You can choose not to be married anymore. So that is what I think does it for me. While I agree that there are stages to that marriage and levels of commitment, once you create life, you are responsible for said life until it is to a point it can take care of itself. But even then, you still have a level of accountability and commitment to that person. I think the theory of marriage, the idea of marriage, the goal of marriage is for it to be a lifelong commitment that will encompass all kinds of different things, that will create more challenges on the grand scale than raising a child to adulthood and letting them go off into the world. But when you look at the ability, the idea of commitment, meaning I'm in this thing, I think parenting checks that box a little bit more than marriage would, because you can always opt out of marriage. You could say, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want to do this no more." And there's all kinds of ways to make that happen. So, for as far if we were going to look at commitment for what commitment means, and the options available as far as commitments, I think you don't really get it out from parenting.
I think in both situations you have outs. I mean, if you don't want to be a parent, you can, give the child for adoption. There are things like that. So
that's not as socially acceptable as divorce is.
Divorce, absolutely, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. It's not, but it's still an option if you don't be a parent. Yeah, and I think the reason why the other thing I'm thinking is having a child, if you're married, still includes the marriage. So
correct.
It's still trying to manage that, and then I don't know. I would, from what I can tell, as the child gets older, it's a whole lot of time. Like it's consuming when the child is when it's a baby. But as they get older and get a little bit more self-sufficient, then the worry, the concern, those things don't change. But it's not as consuming as it is when you're when it's a baby. Whereas when you're married, I mean, you do have ebbs and flow of where it could be more consuming. But again, I think just because in theory, it's supposed to be longer, it's supposed to be, something that's going to change and have drastic changes throughout its cycle, through different cycles throughout it. That it's probably, but I thought it was a good question.
It is a good question. It is, because I have to think. I always want to answer these questions from my where I want things to be and where I am with things. But I have to think about it. Like, there are people who are not ever even a little bit entertaining the thought of marriage, but are spending not ridiculous, but enormous amounts of money to have children without a marriage attached. So they're willing to make that commitment, as in raising a child is more of a commitment to them than the whole, like, it's not as important. So like, that's why I think the whole option part is where I went with that, because people are looking at marriage as another checkbox in a lot of ways as far as society is concerned. So like the willingness to opt out, the ease of opting out, the acceptance of opting out overall, regardless of it being an option, is easier with divorce, or just saying, I don't want to do it at all. You know what I mean? So that's because they don't want that confusion and when what they think is confusion from what they see. So I like these kinds of questions because they do force us to look at like those scenarios that we're not ourselves in, because I think of all of the families who have been created with one parent, I just want to raise a kid and that's it. I don't need all that other stuff. Not saying that's an agreement or a goal.
No. Yeah. I think, So that's a very interesting perspective, because I would look at that same thing and see the exact opposite. Like having a kid to them means that marriage is more of a commitment and they're more willing to commit. So that's and I think the answer really is, it depends on the person. It depends on their view. It depends on their view of marriage and children. And if one is something that they are, because I think that there are some people who children for them is like, I mean, if we have them, okay, cool. If we don't, cool. Whereas some people, it's like, this is the utopia of marriage, that I have children, and that's nothing wrong. Again, nothing wrong with either one. So I think that's really probably the answer. Is it depends on the person, and what their ideal lifestyle looks like.
Yeah.
So, yes. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Shanae says having one of those things that asks you for stuff. That,
Man,
that
man.
they do.
And like it asks only you. Like there's no one else to ask. It's like
Nick, again?
right. I just did that.
Again?
Again with this food and this. For real, for real.
This is the marriage of total versus a child. I say having a child. Okay. Shanae says you can opt out of marriage at year 10. You can't opt out of parenthood after 10. He says 18 years at least. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Donnell says children are perceived as a deeper part of a person's relationship than a spouse in many cases. This is true. They said, why you gotta eat it? Right. Right. Why you gotta eat every day? And they do.
Like a couple times a day at that.
Listen, and then have the audacity to be picky.
Picky. Oh, I knew you was gonna say, what is this like picky? Better eat this food. You better eat this food.
Listen, the number of times I have thought about doing how my parents used to do, like sit there and eat this food. I don't care if you don't like it, because this is all you getting. I'm like, this is one of the instances where this new school parenting thing, I'm like, I don't know if I'm buying into this, but
I just closed the kitchen. I ain't gonna torture you because see, now that's a job for me. I got to keep coming back and making sure you sit here monitoring this. I got to monitor the plate with you monitoring the plate. I'm not gonna do that. You good? Oh, you ain't hungry? Okay, get up. I don't want to see a snick, a snack, a sip, or nothing coming out this kitchen. The kitchen is closed on tonight. Like I'm good for shutting the kitchen down. Okay, once I wiggity wipe this countertop. No, sir. Get on up out of here. I better not catch you back in my kitchen.
right.
I cook when I cook. This ain't Burger King player.
Well, you know me, like I said, mine, he has such funny eating habits. Like he doesn't eat meat. And I don't understand that. So like, you don't eat no meat?
None?
No meat? No chicken? No nothing? Nothing?
Like, bro, make me a salad and let me alone.
Like, dude, I don't like meat. I'm like, I be trying to sneak it in on stuff. He'd be like, I can smell it. I don't like it.
I can smell it.
He can. I'm like, and then anyway.
I believe it.
I'm like, bruh, we eat chicken in this family.
Everybody
eat chicken.
Everybody. Yeah, mine is my picky eater. She's my picky eater. We've got a lot better. Me and sis used to have issues. But yeah, she cooks now. So
yeah, it's a team no meat. Yeah, I bet you. Yeah, but he not doing the cauliflower that act like meat either. So I'm not tripping.
He like his vegetables to stay and show up as vegetables.
When he likes vegetables, right? All right, let's go. So this was, I was dating a Mexican man once. I always ask men I date about their first love. So I asked him. He told me that his first love was a girl in Mexico and he had been crazy about her and they were so close. But he could not marry her because she came from a wealthy family and he did not have the money to give her that kind of life. I immediately started saying, but if you loved each other, that shouldn't matter. Love is all that's important. He cut me off. Don't get offended, he said, but only you black women think like that. And it's not good. If I love her, why would I want to offer her a lesser life than she was raised with? What kind of man would I be? What kind of man? Anyway, I'm sorry. If I took a woman I love from a life where she wanted for nothing and gave her a life where she had to do without. I was raised to believe that a man does not do that to a woman he loves. If I really love her, I want her to have the best life. I want her to have everything she has now and even more, if that's possible, even if that means she is not with me. I actually was offended, but only because I realized that Rico was right. And I suddenly realized how foolish my way of thinking was. Hashtag Black women divest now. I'm gonna let you take that first.
Okay. So first off, the thing that I most disagree with is the hashtag. The Black women divest now. I did not gather that from this. We are so extreme sometimes. I say that to say, I know Black men who feel just like, what's his name? Rico? Yeah, Rico. I know Black men who feel just like Rico. If you've ever heard me discuss my perspective on the 50-50 conversation, it's always been I desire a man who desires to provide this life for me. Not that it's a requirement, but the desire should be, and the action plan should be to try and provide that type of lifestyle where that's not necessary. I might not have to do XYZ thing. That's the type of vibe I got from this. You should, for the person that you love enough to say you want to do forever with, you should desire a certain level of preparedness before you bring that person into the fold, or else that's a nope. Nope. You should desire that out of the love of that person and the weight that holds as far as what it is that you're asking for. So, yes, I can also understand her offense at herself and the mindset that we as a culture have created around love. We've got a lot of trauma around letting things go that no longer serve us. And I think it's not necessarily attached to this newfangled, we're doing better, we reaching new levels, now I deserve XYZ thing. When we did not have the opportunity to decide who got to stay and who had to go, it became imperative that we brought everybody along. So we now have made it okay for just love to be enough. Now that is no longer our situation, and people have started to kind of break through in a different way as far as what qualifies as suitable for sustenance, stability, maintaining legacy, foundation, creating something that's withstanding. Now we got all this debate and back and forth about, wait, what about us? Well, what about you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so now we're in a better position to say, this is the standard. This is the standard going forward. And there are men in our community who are already in alignment with that. So, like, yeah, I agree with Rico. And I hope sis takes a different mindset and she adjusts this mindset. Keep moving to action it away from the fact that love is not just enough anymore, because it's not. Love, but it's not enough. But this whole divest now, I don't think that equates to divest from Black men. I'm not going to support that. That's not what I think the root of this is. Kicking my soapbox back under the desk. I appreciate it.
So, all right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you said, I agree. I don't. First of all, Rico has not dated enough people, because here is my thing. So if I am talking to Rico, I would ask him, if you loved her, if you really loved her,
mm-hmm.
I don't buy this idea that I'm okay. Like, if you really loved her, why didn't you get your stuff together to be what she wanted? Because if you were, if you could, or if you were doing that, why would she not? Like, again, this is me thinking in terms of if he's a younger person. So if Rico is younger, like, let's call it early 20s, like, you're not supposed to be, as a man, fully, you're comparing her grown daddy to your 20-year-old self. So where are you now? Are you in the process of getting to this space? Because if her father is wealthy, let's say, like, most of us ain't getting wealth handed down to us. So are you building that? And if you're building that, then that doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't make you you're doing more than saying love is enough, like, or is enough. Like, so you're doing the things that she is going to. It's just you just haven't hit it good enough yet to where now you have that kind of money. So to me, I'm like, yeah, I don't really see.
He might not have had the time to do all that waiting, though. Like, you got to think, he said this is his first love. So who's to say that Rico's not ready as hell right now? He might have used that situation as a stepping stone to get ready. This will not happen to me again. I am young. I do love this woman, but who am I to hold her up, to keep her from her good thing? Because someone could possibly be ready. It was his first love. You know what I mean? We don't know the dynamics of that. This was a quick exchange. But I'm just saying, that could be the maturity. Rico sounds pretty wise. Rico could say, I got some work to do before I could provide even a base level for what she should deserve. So I need to go back to my drawing board, and I'll come back to sis when I'm ready. If she's ready.
I don't have if he's saying I don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out, that's totally different. But I'm saying that if he's saying I'm just not where her father is, which is how I interpret what he's saying. I'm not where her father is. And because I am not where her father is and can give her what her father gives her, then I am not ready. And I would say depending on, like I said, unless he's, and I got a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of, okay. But if I don't see the problem with saying I'm building this lifestyle and her being somebody who would have a problem coming alongside and doing it with him or supporting him as he's doing it.
It's interesting to me how we equate a father's love with above and beyond. Because the father's love, if this is his foundation for where he's coming from, with she didn't have to want for anything. Why would I put her in a position where she has to do more than what she did before? If her father kept a consistent roof, she didn't go hungry, her clothes fit well and were available in a timely fashion, and he knows that he cannot sustain that for her right now, that's not an excessive level of, that's not a outlandish standard to say, I mean, I'm barely doing that for myself. Maybe I'm not ready to bring her into that. So you know what I mean? So I'm like, the whole ideal of, I'm just challenging the thought, because our community kind of gives good dads a bad name when it gets time to dating. You know what I mean? Like, it's all of a sudden now, no, I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm saying we have these conversations about, well, I ain't your daddy. Okay. But good dads set a really, really great standard of care for a child, for their daughters. And that should not be a level, a mode of tear down, of squaring us. Not for you. I'm just saying there are a lot of people who do that, though. That's a lot of the conversation of, now you didn't have to do all these things. Now, ma'am, now you're going to have to. I ain't your daddy. Okay, well, you know what? So I'm like, that whole, like, do you want women who are raised in a foundation that is stable, so they have a mindset that has them prepared for consistency and not lack? There's a lot of other things that men don't like when a woman has been raised in a certain level of lack, got a certain level of hustle to her, got a certain level of stand up and ride or die with you. A ride or die chick done been through some things to have some confidence to ride and die. Okay. You know what I mean? So, like, we kind of have to start discussing and really breaking through what we're meaning when we go so hard on good dads. Like,
totally. And I think that a father's responsibility is to set a high standard. I think what we also need to consider, or what we also need to compare, is compare 25-year-old dad to 25-year-old Rico.
Right.
And to find out, and if this dad is doing what Rico is alluding to, then it can be a real good person to say, that's that dude right there. That's how I was at that age, and you need to ride with him. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying compare, as opposed to living in this idea that, again, that my 55-year-old father, who is at the peak of his financial life, is comparable to my 25-year-old husband, who just graduated college, or who just is getting started. And that's to me is where I think a good father can help, and that's where I disagree. Where my pushback is for Rico is, if you're doing the things, then that's one thing. But if this was a situation where he had nothing, he was doing nothing, and this was the catalyst that said, "Man, I need to do better," then again, then his comments somewhat make sense. But then I would rephrase it as to say, when I met her, I realized the problem was not her father. The problem was that it made me realize that I needed to up my game, which I didn't interpret him as saying I need to up my game, but I interpreted it as him saying I'm just not on his level. So if he's a regular, I don't want to call it regular, but if he's just a dude who's got a roof and he can do, and dad can take you on vacations, and I can't do that kind of stuff right now. Mm-hmm. So therefore I am not interested in trying to keep her from not being able to go on her trips and all that kind of stuff like she could do with her father. So I think it just depends on the situation. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading. He could be explaining it this way to save face. Just the way he sold himself on a grieved family. Possibly. Yeah.
He sounded very confident in his decision to me. He didn't sound like he was disappointed or felt like he was a disgrace or anything. He was just like, in our community, and that's also, you have to think about the culture. That he was making a very strong culture comparison. Like, they get it. You know what I mean? Like the Mexican culture is strong on holding your holding it down and creating a certain level of lifestyle for your family, the entire family, for a very long time. So like he was confident in what he was saying. I don't think he felt no kind of way about letting her know, like, y'all should deserve more. Like, and he didn't feel he was okay with knowing there was more that he had to do. You know what I'm saying? And like the idea even that we try and tell him, oh, but wait, because we like support and everything, but the fact that we say, nah, bro, still go get her. No, I still got something to do. Like, I appreciate someone not wasting my time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
I still love you and not have to go through every last step that you took to get here. Like, I promise I can still love you without having to do all of the milestones to get us to this destination. I promise I will. I think we have to feel like you got to hit if you didn't hit every step, you don't get to enjoy none of the fruits of this labor. And I'm like,
no, I ain't saying that. I wouldn't agree.
Not you.
No, I'm saying that. No. I know you're not telling me. Like Melissa said, Rico is showing a level of maturity, but if some guy did that to me, I'd tell him to stop being dumb and take me to the little white church.
Yep. And she might have. Had he broken down her, she very well could have. And he could have been like, nah. She very well could have been like, boy, bye. Like, I don't even need all that. I want to go to work. Like, and that would have been fine too. That would have been perfectly cool. We all know there are some differences that seep down through there.
Yeah. Because their cultural differences there's definitely some cultural differences. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. Country Wayne. So we found out over this last week that Country Wayne had five. Yeah, so that Country Wayne pays all of the bills for his 5 baby mamas, even while they are dating other men. So the question I had was, ladies, would you be okay with your man paying all of the bills of his baby mama? So you were the man, he got 1 baby mama. Are you okay with him paying all of the bills for baby mama?
No. Women get real fuzzy on boundaries and things. And that's to me, that's just a worry I wouldn't sign up for. I'm not signing up for that. To have to discuss my household finances with respect to another woman. You can pay for everything under the sun for that baby. You could prepay it. We could set that ish up on auto pay. We never have to see it. However, comma, that's it. You know, this is one of the reasons why this whole, I could not date a man later on that had that situation. A baby mama, like, for the most part. Them kids would have to be almost grown where they can communicate independently. It's already established, that type of thing, because I would not be a good new mama with a crazy baby mama. I know me. So yeah, this wouldn't work for me, because it would be more about the other woman than ever any insecurity of mine, anything like that. I should not have to entertain the livelihood of the baby mama. That baby should be straight, pay a portion of the rent, pay, make sure that take care of the car insurance, get her a little prepaid car if you want, prepaid card that got the little gas money on it if you want. I'm okay with that, because the baby got things that the baby got to do. Okay, cool. That is within the realm of childcare. I'm good with that. That's one less call you got to make on a random Wednesday when we go in route to doing something we got to do. But this whole, you depend on my man for your life, you get a notice, then we get a notice. No, everybody on notice. Like, this is not going to work for me. This is not going to work for you. No.
So most of the ladies on the post said no. I think I saw this one, and I think Anisha posted this, and so that's what made me, because when she posted it, I was like, ladies, would y'all really be all right with this? Like, would you be? And yeah, most of the ladies in the scoop said absolutely not. That they would not do it. They couldn't do it. I don't know if I mean, I applaud him for doing it. I think it's a stand-up thing to do, but
we debated the folk picking up the baby after school and dropping him off that didn't belong to him. And now we're going to entertain you paying the whole household bills. We had a whole damn argument that lasted for a long time in the school about the literally picking the baby up off the curb after school. So now we're expecting us to be all right.
He left him. He left the baby.
So now we saying we got the kind that's gonna pay out household bills, and we just supposed to be Gucci with that? No. We go from one extreme to the damn next. I
think that as a man, I would want to pay for, like you said, all of my kids' stuff. But that's about it. Yeah.
Take care of that baby. That's your baby. Do that.
That's it. Let's see. Jessica said, I will not explain my household to another woman.
Oh, one queen per castle. And that includes accounts too.
All of them.
All of them.
They said, I picture it like child support. He sends a set amount that's enough to cover bills for the month. I could be wrong if I date him, but not on a serious level. Alyssa says polygamy. That's pretty much polygamy. Move her in it. So from my understanding, if I read the article correct, didn't it also say that he owns houses near all of them too, or something like that?
Probably.
I think I read it was like he bought himself a house near all 5 of them too, so he could spend time with his kids. If I read it right, I could be wrong, but yeah, I was like, this is.
I honestly didn't know he had money like this soon, so it's surprising. I'm no shade at all, but when I initially heard this, I was like, damn, that happened. That escalated quickly. So
for a while.
For him to have a compound of kids and the families and enough confidence, like enough security in said coin to be confident in having articles defending him doing this for these for his family. They're all family. Like, we ain't gonna front. We was just talking about Nick Cannon and his whole gaggle of fraggles that he got now. All of them. That's all. They all connected now. You know what I mean? He too may as well get a compound, move everybody in. You know what I mean? Gate that bad boy up, Canon country. Do what you got to do. You know what I mean? But I mean, if you have the you have the finances to be able to do this successfully, you have family meetings, and you make that happen. Me and mine.
So if the person had his kind of money, you'd be okay with it?
No, probably not. I'm gonna be honest with you, probably not.
Would you be okay with living on this compound? You in the big house, everybody else got houses on the compound, and
no, see, these types of things have to be for it to be. It's just about the longevity of the success and the peace of it all. You know what I mean? Women are finicky. These types of things have to be planned like before the birth of the first child. This is why This is why I get so frustrated when people just assume they know so much about polygamy. A lot of these families, when done right, are planned from like the beginning. You know what I mean? So like there's process to it. So like if you got a group of 5 women who are evolved, mature, confident, strategic in thinking, are team players, and not in the sexual type of way, but like literally know what it takes to see a thing, plan it, and actually execute and get there, then that is where you can create a beautiful situation where all of these children can have a support system. You don't need for nearly as much as the average family or extended blended family situation is concerned. Like, it can be done. But I say that again, you have to do some strategic matchmaking and situationing to have that happen. And at 37 years old, that's some young girl game. That's some young folk-ish. You know what I mean? Because that takes mindset shift. You got to be able to move and groove a little bit different. So yeah, me at 37, no. I think if we got this much money, then we can afford to do what I said earlier and auto pay that issue. They go over there and do that.
I forgot who it was. Somebody on the post said they would be okay with it as long as they were the ones handing out the money. And I think the insinuation was they would be the one dealing with the baby mothers instead of him to create boundaries.
No, the boundary is between me and them. I don't want to communicate with them. So to me, that option sounds like you just trying to keep them from your man. He can't be my man if I'm worried about you going back and being with him. My goal is to keep my peace by not having to fool with you, ma'am. It ain't got nothing to do with none of that other. Like, let's get that clear and understood. Like, it has no, I definitely don't want to be the gatekeeper of the coin.
That's what somebody on the post said.
It's my house. I don't want to be a madam of the mamas. What the hell I look like? No.
Hey,
I'm gonna be passing out checks to a stable, it's gonna be for a whole different reason. Okay. Woo! Listen. You about to make me show my real not safe for work self. Like, if I got some chicks on the payroll player, it ain't gonna be for no damn children. Like, it ain't gonna be behind no babies. It ain't gonna be behind not nary a child. Shit.
Listen, said we need our own space and castle, and the kingdom can only have one castle. Oh God. Okay. All right. All right. I guess we know what Q stands on this. All right. Sorry, Wayne. Sorry, guys.
But he ain't looking for me. I'm crazy. It is evident. Like, I would not be on the radar of a man that likes this type of situation. Nick Cannon wouldn't want nothing to do with me either. I got way too many questions. I talk too much for men like this. I understand that. I know that.
Well, I don't know where the 2.5 million came from. I'm not sure where that came from, but I'm sure he is using them all as dependents on taxes. But yeah, I mean, he make good money right now. He said he made was it $7 million off of YouTube videos during the pandemic. So, bro, doing all right. All right, let's keep going. The final triggered post of the week for everybody. Newsflash. It's a lot of Russell Wilsons out here. Y'all just ignoring them because they not rich. Newsflash. It's a lot of Russell Wilsons out here. Y'all just ignoring them because they not rich.
Wah, wah, wah.
We can't take you nowhere.
Nope. Not today. Listen. What was Medina talking about? Her barrel of you know what? I knocked the bottom out that beer earlier today. Ain't now left.
Oh God.
I mean, there are a lot of Russells out there. There are. I don't think they're getting ignored because they're not rich. Desire is not the same as opportunity. And the Russell that you can be a Russell for her, and not a Russell for the next. Russell is Russell for Ciara. You never saw old boy doing what he was doing for the other chick, or no other chick, no other girlfriend, none of that. He goes hard for Ciara. He didn't do all that. You don't even know. Pick her out of a lineup. What she look like?
I've seen her. I've seen what she looked like.
He
But
was
I mean,
around a little bit before Ciara came around.
She persuasion, right?
She is.
The first one's
but they would have ate that up.
But they were in college, right? It was like right out of college. They were, yeah.
She was his day one. She took him into all that. So if he was that type of dude and was going to the levels that he goes with for Ciara, that would have made some giggles and some murmurs in their circles. Nah, they're out here saying I can't afford you. Where do you want? Thank you. It's my wham. Like what? Pick a struggle.
Y'all not playing tonight, huh?
You know what? That's it, Alyssa. I ain't got nothing else to say.
Oh God. Nah, go ahead. You said so you're and from what you're saying, it's because of how he feels about Ciara that he is who he is.
Yes. I mean, if you love somebody, you go all in, you go hard. And he loves the hell out of that woman. He loves the hell out of her. So I mean, he showed up with intention and execution from the jump, from the go. Okay. So I mean, like, why not? And nobody and they do what they do because they are who they are. They got the money to do that. But just because you don't mean it ain't regular old Russells out here with they women walking on clouds and butterflies. Okay, they feel like they got the princess, the Zamunda chicks laying rose petals at their feet, walking around in the regular old life. Okay, Russells happen for regular chicks. So it's not a matter of your bank account. It's a matter of your willingness to stretch, to go out of your way for someone, to spend coin and not keep count and tally it when it comes back in the next argument. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can't holler about what you ain't got and then be mad when she don't want you because you ain't got it. Like when there's guys out here who got it and ain't talking crazy about getting it, giving it. Like I don't understand that. So yeah, pick a struggle.
Yeah. So I see. Okay. So I see all sides of this. I see that there is the side of where part of this is men who at some point in their lives were going after and treating well a woman who didn't want them, who used them, and that happens. And it happening multiple times, and because it's happened multiple times, have become jaded to the idea that if I had money, if I had X, Y, Z, whatever, I would be valued. I would be, so I see that. And I think that happens. I think we have to be honest that there are ladies who do that.
You would be entertained. Let's not confuse that was valued or loved or cared for, or all those real things that we want? Do you just want to be in a woman's face, or do you want to actually build and have love with a woman?
I think that there are both. I think that there are ladies who would do both because of a man's money. Because and who would. So
Okay.
I think there's that. I also think that there's this idea that kind of going back to the previous post a little bit, that there are men who have not really become secure enough in who they are, and even not even so much who they are, but who they are. It becomes secure enough in who they are not.
Mm-hmm.
And so because we don't recognize who we're not and become comfortable with that, we think that a woman not wanting to be with us says that we're bad, instead of interpreting it as that's just not the woman for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that if I continue to be said good dude who shows up well, who loves the heck out of the woman who I'm being with, that's not going to get me the same response that Sierra gives to Russ. So to dudes, I usually say, look at it as wrong woman and move on. Like, get better, but it's wrong woman. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because there's many of good single women out there. So don't not improve, but at the same time, don't get so dejected to think that the only thing you have to do is um, become wealthy. Because if you really listen to Sierra's response to Russ is not about his money. Now, and I'm not gonna say she don't enjoy the stuff that money does, but if you listen to them talk long enough, you'll hear that the things that she values is the quality time.
Yep.
It's the intentionality of the care that he has for her.
Mm-hmm.
Sierra will say, I love that man because no matter what, he has my back.
Mm-hmm.
Which financially doesn't, I mean, there are some obvious things that money does allow him to do that it doesn't allow somebody who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not, you can have somebody's back and not buy them an Arena League football team.
Right.
So,
Also, I want to say to your earlier point about a man can go all out for women and multiple times they don't get the result, or it not be returned, and they not get the end result of the love. I want fellas to understand that Russell Wilson should not be for every woman that you date. I'm almost concerned about a man whose repertoire is to behave like Russell with every woman. I think the thing that's beautiful about what we see happen with Russ and Sierra is that things are so specific and thoughtful to what she wants, she likes, she needs, the things that are special between them. They've created a sense of connectedness where they've created ways to keep that intimacy between them that's been built over time. I don't want you to be able to bullet point your courtship of me, and then I'm supposed to feel all of the appropriate feelings because you've hit all of the appropriate points. So, and I think that falls in line with the good guy argument that we get sometimes, as far as, well, I do all this good guy stuff and then the good guys finish like. It's not about that. It's not about checking the bullet points, because what makes Sierra gush may not make Tina gush. You know what I mean? So you still have to figure that out and then decide when that happens. You coming out the gate laying it on thick and heavy like that will give a woman who's grounded and not really distracted easily by all that stuff, that will give her pause. That's not going to impress her, because she's wondering, who is this for? What is this? What is this? What are you keeping from me by trying to distract me with all of this stuff while I'm trying to get to know you? This isn't, you know what I mean? Like, there's a way that we have to approach what's happening here. We can't discount the actual work that's being done that don't cost no money that this man has done for this woman, and why she shows up the way that she shows up for him, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
The public came in with all these preconceived notions about Russ and Sierra. You know what I mean? We want it to be tainted. You know what I mean? Or we want it to be fairy tale. They doing work.
Normal people. And if you, I don't know if I saw, again, I don't watch them a ton, but I saw one thing where they were talking. I think it was like right after she had one of the babies. I think she has 2 babies now, right? 2 kids. One of the kids they had, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm ready for baby number 2." And she looked at him like,
"Boy, please, yeah, nope." Gone now.
I'm like, Russ. Like, you can, they're normal people, but again, they're normal in the sense of they deal with the normal things. But buying her an arena football team is not normal. But again, if you can't do that, that doesn't mean that you're not Russ
worthy, right? Or Russ like, exactly.
Esque. So, yeah. Don't let it trigger you guys. That's my point. All right.
Stop letting that man bother your spirit the way that he does. It really shouldn't bother y'all the way that it does.
All right. Let's go. Come on. Let's go into this topic.
All right.
Main topic. Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So this week we are going to talk about leveling out our expectations with our experiences, and wondering, I want us to decide to dig into if our frustration in our relationships, and this is platonic and romantic, is a lot of our frustration in our relationships rooted in the fact that we have an expectation that is not in alignment with the experiences that we're having or that we're giving. Okay? And I'll give you an example. So a lot of us follow Auntie Tabitha Brown. Okay. Hey, babies. How y'all doing? That Auntie Tab. Okay. So we follow her. And if there's been a viral clip that's gone around about where she talks about her and her husband Chance and how their love languages are very different based on their experiences. Chance, by design, is not very affectionate. He's not very lovey-dovey. And at the beginning, and Tab is. Okay. She's all about her hugs and her kisses and her cuddles. That is her personality. Totally believe that based on what we've seen of her. Okay. When they first started dating and at the beginning of their marriage, Tab was being very affectionate and Chance would not really reciprocate. It wasn't the same. She wasn't getting what she was giving. So she took cues. She didn't get resentful about it necessarily. She just adjusted. She then began to shift her affection. So now they were doing their thing, but it was not the same. So eventually Chance comes to Tab and is like, "Hey, where my hugs at? Like, I mean, I'm missing my cuddles and my kisses. Like, what's going on?" And she had to tell him, "Well, I mean, I didn't think that was what you was after. Like, I didn't think that's what you were giving. So I'll chill. Like, I'm not going to keep giving all of that. And like, I need my cuddles, but I'm not going to be the initiator of this every time. Like, we got to figure this out." And she had to realize that also affected her experience that she was giving and how she was receiving love. Okay. So I thought that was a really good example of how our expectations of our relationships, as far as what our person, our friends, our jobs, our whatever, are supposed to be providing to us. And then the experiences that we are providing, because relationships require reciprocation. There has to be a give and take. Or someone's always going to feel left out of the thing, and that's how you get breakdowns. So tonight we're going to kind of talk about In what ways do we come into these these relationships expecting a certain experience? And do we ever check with ourselves with what experience am I going to give to this person? And are all of these things in alignment? So I hope that gave us some backstory, gave us some little nuggets to chew on. I want y'all to hit that comment section as we get to chatting, okay? When what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think that our expectations are typically rooted in our expectations and what we give. So are usually rooted in what we like and what we need. And so, using your example, she was giving him what she wanted. And so, because he wasn't giving it back to her, she she shut down. And so, I think that those are the kind of things that need to be discussed. And to the love is not enough thing, those are things that we need to decide when we, or really come to the table or come to the relationship saying, if this is something that I need and this person is not willing to adjust, then maybe this isn't the person for me. Because to not give me something that I'm telling you that I need, or trying to adjust to something that I need, to me, is change, because it changes. I think part of that, it changes who we are. So if I need quality time and you're unwilling, or in her instance, it was affection, and you're not willing to give me affection, that's going to change. That's going to change who I am. And am I okay with that? So I think we have to investigate that, and then from the other end, investigate why this is an expectation. So I think why this is an expectation, and why, if I'm not willing to change, why am I not? Because when I think of, again, the example you gave, there was a reason that he asked, why did you stop doing this? And part of it, I would guess, is because even though it was something that he was not comfortable doing, it was something comfortable he was receiving. So now, to have to turn this switch on to be like, wait, even though this is I'm okay, so I am comfortable receiving this, and she stopped it because I wasn't giving, now means that I need to come out of my comfort zone and learn how to give it, because it's changing her to the place that she now doesn't want to give it. So it is this, I think those are some of the things that we have to discuss, because it can change our expectation. It does sometimes our expectation does go beyond our experience.
And to your point, which you just mentioned, as far as the whole the why of why she adjusted. Now, one, do I think that his non-reciprocation played a factor in her love tank not being full? Absolutely, because that is a part of her personality that I'm sure she definitely carved a piece of her cuddles aside for Chance specifically. So, when that stopped happening, I'm sure that affected her. But what I got from the way that she communicated this shift in their relationship, I saw her adjustment as more of her attempt to love him in his way. Like, she felt as though he was made uncomfortable by all of her extra affection.
Absolutely.
So this is one of those things that I think we sometimes miss when we start assuming why our spouses are doing what they do, as opposed to communicating. Like what Alyssa just said, communication is the key. Absolutely true. She felt as though she needed to chill because she was coming on a little strong, and maybe this isn't what my man needs. I was giving him this affection because, one, that's how we're raised. We think our men are supposed to have the hugs and the cuddles, and they're supposed to come and lay in our laps and come on, but like that is what we're raised to be, that safe haven, that safe place. If Chance wasn't brought up to either have that example wasn't shown to him, or throughout time that had been manipulated in a way so that he does not trust that, or he just might not be warm and fuzzy like that. There are some people who are just flat out out the womb on the hugs and stuff. Okay. But his bringing that back up to her, like you just said, let him know, wait a minute. I actually I dig them cuddles and things, and baby ain't doing them cuddles and things. Hey, baby, baby,
Yeah,
let's
it's
talk.
either
You know,
it's either I
now we
really
gotta
dig
talk
them.
about some things.
Yep, it's either I really dig them or I'm noticing something different about her. What's
Mhm.
different? Wait, she not doing this. What's wrong? Is she mad?
Why? Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's typically going to be one of those. And yeah, so I think that we also have to like. I think that asking the question, and I would be interested. I think asking the question is good. Understanding the why is good. But I think ultimately it comes back to, are you willing to make the adjustment?
Right.
Because I could understand your why all day, but if it's something that I really need, if I really have a need for using myself for words of affirmation, the fact that you have a bad experience with words of affirmation doesn't change the fact that I still need it.
I still
So
need it.
I
Yep.
need you to make the decision whether or not this is something that you're going to be able to attempt to try, and
Yes.
I will honor the attempts while you're trying to figure it out. But I need you to figure it out because I need these words of affirmation in
Yeah.
order for me to feel love the way that I feel love.
You offer me effort, I'll offer you grace. See how
Absolutely,
that works? You know what I mean? Like that's how that works.
absolutely. So I do think, yes, but I think sometimes we don't have those conversations. I think the problem is like what she did, and or what they did in having the conversation is something that we don't typically do. We typically assume, like you said earlier, why a person does it, and our assumption is usually way off,
Mhm.
and we think that the relationship is in crisis when typically the crisis it might be in crisis because you're not getting what you need, but the relationship itself is not in crisis because it's just a mere matter of letting it be known this is what I need. Maybe sometimes just telling the other person how to do it,
Mhm.
and letting the person understand like this is not a non-negotiable for me.
Mhm.
Like it's not a non-negotiable for me for you to give me affection. That is not something I can just be okay with. I could be okay with a few things, but this ain't one of them. And so I
Mhm.
think we don't do that work. First of all, like I said, we don't do the work initially to find out and tell what we need, but then we don't do the work to 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 continue it, to develop it, and then to just make it a consistent habit in our
Mhm. Mhm.
relationships. Excuse me.
Yeah. I honestly think we're gonna move. I guess we can move into the next example of this. We even do this in how we date or how we discuss how we plan to date. Going back to the Russ Sierra situation, and others that are like it, where we have these broad stroke generalizations of what these expectations should be. The real man, real woman, to check my bot to be compatible with me, for me to be interested in you. She ain't worthy unless, however, commas, all of those things that we putting out there in the world are our expectations. And then knowing full well that either side or neither side is prepared to provide that experience. And it creates boundaries in a way where we can't even meet each other in our realistic spaces because we've talked ourselves out of these hypothetical like these hypothetical experiences that we're not there yet. So I can't honestly say that my compatibility boxes must be checked by someone, by something that does not relate to the experience that there's a certain level that I got to be at to be able to play at this game, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So we can come into it with all of these extras knowing good and well we're not ready, or set that expectation out there and say, what you gonna do with that though? If that shows up, what you gonna do with that? You know what I mean? So like, you're not prepared to offer the experience that complements this expectation. You know what I mean? So like that is one of those things, and that is in and outside of our relationships, sometimes we have set an expectation that we ourselves are not ready to provide the experience for. So like we gotta deal with that too. You know, last week we couldn't come up with 3 things that we could do better to be a good friend. You know?
And then listen, right? And then okay, no soapbox, but then have the audacity to demand that the other person stretch themselves to give us what we need. Yeah, we're fickle people, and do it in the name of proving that you actually are worthy or care for me. So yeah, we're funny like that. We can definitely be funny like that. Yeah, yeah, because we're very okay with demanding. We're not
Alyssa,
okay.
soapbox. People want a soapbox.
We're not good at being. I've said it before. We want to be loved, but we don't want what comes with being loving or loving somebody else. We have a whole lot of expectations and demands. We have a whole lot of do this, do that for me, do this and the other. But then when the mirror is turned around on us, this is just who I am. Take me as I am. Like you should just love me for the way I am. But wait, bro, sis, that's not how this goes.
Right.
If we're saying if we taking everybody as they are, then you got to take me as I am. But if we're really trying to build a healthy relationship, that means that comes with uncomfortability and vulnerability and the spaces that we don't want to go into. It comes with some conversations that mean that just maybe you have to admit that the way that you think and the way that you move and the way that you spend money and the way that you do, work and the way that you do, social things are no longer acceptable. Because if you want to value this other person, then you have to shift to, like you said earlier, how does what I do affect not just me, not just that person, but how does this affect our relationship as a whole? Does this take us to where we want to be? Is this a person who I even want to go there with? Because if I'm not interested in doing that, I always tell people this when I counsel them: if you're with a person who's not willing to change, you probably need to change the person you're with. Yeah. Because relationships, and I know what I posted earlier about change and adaptability, and I'm still questioning that. But even still, because I don't think change was the right word, but I think that there's some things that we just have to be honest with ourselves. Like, you know what? I'm either not ready, or I'm not ready to do it for this person, or this just ain't it. This is not it.
I've come to learn that doing life requires a lot of do-overs. Meaning, you're going to set for yourself and for your relationships all kinds of different goals. You are going to encounter all kinds of different challenges, which are going to take you through each and every one of those stages that you mentioned in your post earlier today, which is why I said, I believe for a healthy relationship, you go through all 4 of these.
Yeah.
Yes, because you are going to change at each step of your evolution. As you mature, that's a change. You don't go, you know what I mean? Like that, like, so it's one of those things. Change isn't sexy anymore right now. Change isn't as sexy as, evolve. But I understood the root of what you were saying, and I get that. But I think we often feel like there's a state of doneness that we're going to eventually get to as adults. We get this badge of honor that says, okay, now we're done. Now you guys catch up to us. No, you're going to continue. If you're doing it right, you're going to go through all of these changes a bunch of different times. And that should be a welcomed experience. If you are stuck and we're still doing the same thing we were doing 10 years ago, we're not doing something right. Somebody ain't telling the truth about where we really are in this thing. You know what I'm saying? So like, keep going.
That's why I said I don't think that was the right word. I think the word I meant to maybe say change the core of who you are. I don't know if changing the core of who you are but I don't know. Anyway, nevertheless, this ain't about
Sometimes
myself.
the core is
Yeah,
messed up though.
right, no, and I'm agreeing with it. That's what I'm like. But I'm
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
like, for
Yeah, you
example,
good.
yeah, I don't know. So I think I'm trying to find the word, and so fortunately, you all on my page get the benefit of my musings of trying to, as I get stuck in thought, of helping me unravel my thought. So if y'all see some of this in the next book, then you know why. But so it's just trying to help me get to what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's still there. I think you all are absolutely right that there is a element of change that happens. But yeah, no, but I think it's just, it's an element of change that happens in our relationships. I think that should be actually the expectation. That the expectation is I'm going to consistently put forth the effort to love you to love myself better, healthier on a continual basis.
Yeah. I don't think you change for a person, like to gain favor with. You
Yeah.
change because a person motivates you to become a better you for them. There's something about how this person loves you to the point where you can now see your stuff differently, to the point where now it's
Yep.
worth it for you and for them to be better. So that's when it's okay to get in there and change that core stuff. Like we run away from identifying our ugly. That is what changing for a person
There you go. There
consists
you
of.
go.
You
There
know,
you
that's the healthy change for a person. I love the hell out of this girl. I'm not finna lose this woman because I like to XYZ thing and that thing ain't really the thing I need to be doing. No, I'm about to get my ish together and y'all ain't gonna see me at the spot no more because I'm
Yeah.
about to go get my good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a good change, man. Now you acting different.
Well, and I think what you said, the way you worded that is accurate, is correct. I also think that I'm thinking also like I'm not going to become. I don't, this. I say this tongue in cheek, but it's reality. I'm not going to become a vegan to get a woman. Like
No.
I like chicken.
No.
So that's what I mean by like that. To me is what I say in terms of change. I might adapt in the sense of around you. We might go to some restaurants to have vegan options because you're a vegan, but I'm not going to. But I'm not going to be changed, and that's why when I was getting to like the whole core, I'm like, nah.
Right.
But change those types of things. I'm not going to change like being. I'm a pastor. I'm not going to change being a pastor because that makes you uncomfortable. You're just probably not the right person.
Not for me.
If that kind of thing, if I value that and that's something, or who I am, and that's something that you can't get with. Those were the types of examples that I meant when I was trying to say that. So I think our expectations absolutely have to be in line with that. I actually should expect that when I come to you and talk to you about the things that are valuable to me, that even if they are uncomfortable for you, that you are willing to put in the effort to make those things something that are a part of our relationship. And as a result of, and then as the other person, I'm not going to force that on you.
Nope.
Like I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to sit back and let it happen, or let it not happen. And then at that point, once I recognize that this is not something that you're willing to adjust, then okay, again, this is something that's because it's that important to me. I can't continue to be in relationship with you in this kind of relationship with you.
Yep. Because I desire a different experience for myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's like it is okay to have expectations for self, to have expectations for those that you share your time with, that you share your energies with, that you are building with. There's nothing wrong with expectations. I think we have to better align with people who are willing to meet them. We've spent a lot of time fussing about the fact that we can't force people to jump through our hoops. You know what I mean? Like that's not how this works. So, when we have to take some of the stigma away from these words that are really, really meant for our good. We've had some bad experiences and given some trust to some folks who have tainted that, who have created some wounds, some scars, some stories that we have made. We have set the expectation to never ever experience said thing again. So therefore, we got all of these other things in the way that have kept us from grounding ourselves back in a space that can keep us, that can get us to a real good love. You know what I mean? Or a real good whatever. You know, and that is honestly, I think, what's keeping us from our next. Not just in love, but overall. Our trauma is keeping us stuck from allowing the opportunity for rejuvenation to happen. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I totally agree with that. And I also want to say, I think that I absolutely, totally, I want to say this 1000% agree with that. But I also want to add that you can't do that for it with everybody.
No.
You got to also be careful that this person, again, this person you have to create an environment where that is not only normal, but that it is received well. Because if a person is really trying to adjust and make changes, and this is something that's new for them, then to meet that attempt with contempt is going to only make them further go into this trauma. You're reaffirming the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful that, like, when you say this, that you're prepared to even the attempts that might not land well, sometimes be like, good try, but that wasn't it. Good try. I appreciate it. And make it again, I go back to making relationships a space of grace.
Yep.
I'm extending this grace to you because I see your attempt. I see what you're trying to do, and I really appreciate it. And you know what? That was kind of cute that you tried that. So, thank you. That's not what I did. So, yeah, I'm with it. I think, again, I love what you just said in terms of allowing our trauma to keep us stuck, because I think that if I had to tell you the number of times I've had to say that to couples in counseling, like, y'all do know y'all repeating the same pattern in this relationship that you have in every relationship. And it's a trauma cycle, and this trauma cycle continues, and it's going to keep continuing until you decide to break it. And the only way to break it is to be vulnerable enough with your partner to let them into that space. You got to open up.
Yep. And if you're going to do it, like, and your trauma doesn't always, like, we like to talk about how we bring things into our relationships. We have to give ourselves grace within the relationships also. And I'm going to talk because this is the space that I know the most about based on experience. Within a marriage, you cannot go into it saying forever-esque I do's and then expect to be able to not grow through the things you don't want to last forever. Meaning, forever is a long time. If there's not anything if you are not going to be willing to really, really forgive that thing at some point, that need not be what you do with yourself. That's not where you need to be. Okay. Because you're going to have to learn how to move through it. Set the expectation that we are going to keep trying. Our experience will continue to be better because we are going to continue to put forth the effort that we're going to keep getting better at this thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's so crazy to me how we carry, and myself included. Like in the beginning of our relationship, the both of us were in two totally different places, two different sets of expectations as far as what it was that we wanted from marriage and all that other stuff. And I had to recognize one, when it was time for us to shift, whether it be naturally or it was just time, I could not continue to hold on to whatever I had experienced in the beginning that no longer aligned with where we were. I could not carry that over and then still call myself motivating, encouraging, enhancing our next experiences, because I'm still sitting back in here thinking about, well, you remember when that one time or them couple times, you know,
That doesn't work.
how can I trust you?
How can I trust you with my now if I couldn't trust you with my if you won't let go of yesterday?
How can I say I want you to lead me? I don't want to be involved in every decision, but I'm constantly over your shoulder now. What are we doing? What are we deciding? You know what I mean? So like that, and that's something that I had to learn. I can't allow the fact that I was disappointed in these moments to make it so that I never trust going forward. I would never be able to really experience where I'm at. Would have never been able to gain the wisdom to get through some of the other things that I've gone through and are going to go through if I continue to carry the last into the next phase. And I just really want us to remember that when we sit on the couches with our therapists, when we yab and gab with our girlfriends and our homies and do all of that other stuff, like, what do we think forever really means?
Yep. I think for the most part, we think forever is fairy tale. We think of the fairy tale part of it. We don't think of the pain part of it. What was I about to say? I think the other part of what you said too that we need to really consider is that it makes it easier to do that when we are all accountable. Mm-hmm. So if I am accountable for what happened yesterday, if I owned, I dropped the ball.
Yep.
I dropped the ball in that it makes it easier for us to give grace to ourselves and for our partner to give grace to us, because, and this is not in all situations, because I know some partners who ain't ready to let go and never will, but that's another discussion. but I think in general, if the person is still present, like fully present, they will give you the grace to still move forward and to still lead and so they're going to give you that what you need, because they recognize that just as I am growing, so are they. And I can see that this is not the same person that was there when they made this last decision.
Yeah.
Or they learn from that decision, because we've had the conversation and we've had I've expressed how I felt, they've expressed how they felt, what they would do different. And then as a part of being accountable, stood there and said, I am going to reconcile what I broke. So I think part of that's going to help from the other side is that it's going to say, listen, yeah, I screwed that up. Mm-hmm. And not make excuses for it, but I screwed it up. These were the contributing factors. This is what I really need. And, hey, I need another chance.
Yeah. I like the opportunity to do better. Yeah.
Let's move forward.
Yeah.
So no more justifying my good enough because your once upon a time didn't match my good enough. I like that. Forever to me is just having someone in the passenger seat through whatever. Well, I want them to drive a lot. we get it.
I need you driving.
Yeah. This is deep. I hope people are really like going on this journey of thinking through this, because, to Vincent's point earlier, trauma really has ruined a lot of great relationships, or what could have been really good, great relationships. What were good relationships and could have been greater. What were great relationships and could have been even greater. Like trauma has a way, if we don't deal with it well, of continually. And the truth is, some trauma never leaves us. We just have to learn how to manage it and recognize when the trauma or when the effects of the trauma are trying to come back, and trying to creep back in. And I'm gonna use one of Clinton's lines, that, like he says, trauma does not have to be a life sentence. It does not have to continually hold you in that space.
Mm-hmm.
It could potentially be something that you have to continue to manage, but that's okay, because we're all managing something. We're all managing something that's happened to us or happening around us or happening in us, and that's just a part of maturing and growing in this thing called life. So
I've learned that when I deny that I've experienced something, trying to save face, it removes my ability to create the boundary necessary to keep it from happening again.
that's good.
I leave myself exposed to allow people to do that thing to me again when I don't stand up for myself and say, hey, been here, done that. I choose not to do that again. You know what I mean? But if we all go through this experience like, nope, never been it. Nope, ain't ever done that. Nope, there's always going to be someone that's going to be, well, wait till you see what I got. You know what I mean? And it allows you to be blindsided because you're so busy trying to keep up the air that you ain't never been there before.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So like our authenticity, it covers us in ways that the front never can. Like it never could. Because when you've gone through a thing, you own a thing, you've experienced, you've grown through a thing, that becomes a whole different level of wisdom about it. That's a whole level of confidence that you gain from owning it. Instead of putting it deep away, you can't really experience what that feels like to get to the other side of it because you have not shown nobody your walk. You know what I mean? You haven't even allowed you to walk it out. So like, yeah, I don't like just keep showing up to bump my head. I'm gonna tell you, I did that. I was dumb and did that thing. I ain't doing that no more. And I'm damn sure not gonna let you be the one to do it to me. You know what I mean? And I'm not holding on. I've moved on past that, which is why I can tell you
I'm not going to do it again.
You know what I mean? I'm not bitter. I'm just setting a boundary. We're not gonna do that. That hurt. Ouch. Yeah. And I'm not trying to hurt like that again. You know?
I'm not bitter. I just have I tell people I'm not bitter. I have an expectation for better. Because I can't do that no more.
Yeah. I'm gonna own all of my ish. I done messed up a lot.
Are you seeing more couples? Are you seeing more couples seeking premarital counseling in our community than before, specifically now that we are more trauma informed and removing the stigma around therapy? No. Actually no. And so I don't, but let me throw the caveat of my counseling is done in the context typically of, so I'm certified to do it, but it's done in the context typically of the church. So, and I know because I am one of those people that say that unless somebody has some letters after their name in actual counseling or has a real serious gift, I would not go to them. So the reason I say no is probably because of the context that I'm in. So as a whole, I would, again, I would still say no, but in my specific context, the answer is no. I think it's about the same.
Yeah. Until we can provide space for us to have conversations like the ones we keep telling other people to shut up about having, it will be harder for us to get people in the room prior to trauma.
Say that again.
We still haven't created enough space for people to share how they haven't done it right.
Yeah, and that's true.
For people to be in a room and discuss the potential for us to do this wrong. Premarital is almost like how people look at prenups. We're in love. We don't need that. We'll be great.
Yeah.
And that's not, I don't think that's as accurate as it needs to be. But our community as a whole does not do well with the truth in the light.
Yeah.
Yet, as
And,
far as
and
relationships are concerned.
I think also too, our community, I think our community still thinks that like we can fix it ourselves. Like I don't think our community really values skill. Like I think we in a lot of instances still value will over skill. Like we can will this to happen. We'll make it happen. We'll be okay. Yes, we're gonna have some bump. I'm like, I'm glad we have this will to do that. But at the same time, let me save you. Let me save you some time. Even if I could just teach you how to communicate. I tell people if I could just teach you how to communicate through money and communicate well through conflict, like by being able to state what you need in a way that the other person can understand, and you being able to hear I could save you a ton of time just by those two things right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we don't even want to do those. And I will say, to answer that question, it's whereas it used to be men who were primarily against it, now I see men and women who are like, nah, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. We got work to do. We got some reframing, some remixing, some adjustments to be made.
Absolutely. But I do think to your point, I think that people want it. I just think that we don't want it. And the reason I say that is I'll go back to like what you and I were talking. There are some people who are very popular having these conversations, and the way they're having them, I don't necessarily always agree with, but they're having some conversations and teaching some things that are unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are going to go to the spaces that they feel that they're going to get affirmed as opposed to the places that they're going to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to deal with our own trauma. We just want to deal with the other person's trauma to try to tell the other person to change. Love you. Mm-hmm. Final thoughts. Go ahead.
Oh, so many thoughts. This was a good one. I'm glad we talked about this. And I hope that as we continue to have these conversations about relationships and all of the different types of relationships and the nuances of them, we always, if in all of our self conversation, that we really look at self first before we start to plug in names and experiences that we've had with others that have led us to be who we are. There were two people interacting in that situation, sometimes 3 or 4, but there were many, many different factors. But in each and every one of those experiences, you are there. So even if you are the most perfect, easy breezy person, you have to understand that there is something in you that continues to allow yourself to be in these situations. That too needs to be dealt with. So, while we have accountability is more than a buzzword to point the finger at someone else when the conversation ain't going quite right and you should own this point. It's different. Accountability is the first step to taking action to be better. Accountability without any action is just kind of like blame, and that doesn't get you anywhere. Go in first.
That's my thing. Go for it.
And while you going in, go on to elegancebydesign.com.
That transition.
Yes, and order you some amazing products to aid you in your self-care journey. Because as we talk a lot about, we give self in itself. Sometimes it gets a little shade, but overall, Elegance by Design is team self-care. Okay, it does matter, and that is from the crown down, and we provide those solutions, whether it be for your hair care or your skincare, we have something for you. If you are near the Del City area, you can swing on by the Back to My Roots Marketplace and pick up your products in person, including this product right here in this beautiful ad with my girl, the Sleek and Sassy Curling Mousse. EleganceByDesign.com. That's all. You switch your change to me right at the end, bro.
I'm always trying something.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. They got it from different angles. That's all right.
Join us tomorrow on Clubhouse. What are we talking about? Oh, end of the year. Tomorrow, yeah. Clubhouse. Things to expect, things that we should be inspecting going into 2022 is our discussion. So whether it's relationship, financial stuff, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. So tune in on the Scoop on Clubhouse if you are on Clubhouse at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Gonna be good.
We're setting our expectations for our 2022 experience.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you. Y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Good show. Really good show tonight. Good conversation. Deep conversation. That's what we want. We want to go deep. So y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Oh, and you still have a couple of more days. When I mean a couple, I mean like by Saturday, if you want to donate to our Feed a Family. So you can PayPal us at globaldriveradio@gmail.com. If you want to participate, we are feeding families for Thanksgiving, and we're delivering the food this weekend. So if you would like to be a part, again, globaldriveradio@gmail.com, you can donate. Other than that, I don't have nothing else.
Shout out to our comment section tonight. Y'all
are on it tonight.
Came through. Appreciate it.
Straight up. Y'all were good tonight, and I appreciated it because, yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I like it like that. I like it like that.
Go ahead. Keep going.
No, I'm about to go to bed. That's how I know I really got to that point when I start dancing and singing and things. When all the songs is my song, I need to take a nap. I've either drank too much or it's time to lay it down. When I can find the beat in anything, one or two things have taken place.
It's time to let it go, huh?
Yep, I've missed my bedtime, or you should have snatched that last drink. One of the two.
Well, we gonna go ahead and snatch that drink for you.
Thank you. Night, night.
All right, so y'all have a good night. We'll be back next Tuesday again. Thank you for your comments tonight. Y'all were absolutely dope. If you have not hit the share button, hit the share button and be back next Tuesday for another. Yeah, we'll be back. Wait, no, we're not here next week. Next week is Thanksgiving. No, Thanksgiving next. Yeah.
No, y'all won't see me next week. Nope.
We'll see y'all the week after because next week is Thanksgiving. We're not. We off. So. And then I think that's the last show of the year, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Y'all gotta message us with our final show of the year topics. What y'all want to talk about for the last show of the year?
I don't think they heard you.
I'll text it. Oh.
I don't think they heard. I heard you. I don't think they heard you.
For those of y'all that are still tuning in, over this next week, text inbox either Win or myself and tell us what y'all want our last show of the year to be about. Okay, we got next week, and then not next week, but then the week after that is our last show, right?
Yeah.
So we have a week off. Y'all have 1 week to get in your topic suggestions for the final show of the year. And go. Good night, y'all.
She was tired. She's sleepy. Mike, inbox me and tell me what you mean by the ecosystem.